Welcome everybody. Just kind of going through a couple things and trying to set everything up. This is the second time we've come on live for Story Circuits. Tonight we're going to, and actually let me, let me, I'm gonna, just wanted to have a little tunes in the background here, but we'll bring Crunch online here in a minute, and we're going to go through a story of mine called "Desperate for Impact," and it's one that I did many years ago again. And actually, so let's turn Waylon off there. Thank you to Waylon Jennings for once again one of his many great songs. That one is a bit obscure, so um, kind of hard to find. Okay, so let's pull up and Crunch here. Okay, Crunch, we are on live and ready to do basically the Desperate for Impact broadcast is the thought that I had tonight. It's not quite like The Star last night, which was a romantic kind of a fun, like a romantic tale. Desperate for Impact is a little bit more serious, a little bit more hard hitting. What would you say, Crunch?
Absolutely, it definitely has that heavier, more intense vibe to it, and it really does pack a punch. I think it will be a great contrast to the romantic feel of the previous broadcast. I'm sure the audience will appreciate the shift in tone. Let's dive into it.
Yeah, well, we'll definitely see if they do. I don't know that it'll come across 100% that way. Wanted to, let's see, looks like there's some chat going on, so I just wanted to drop in there. I'm not seeing anybody right now, but anyway, okay, well, if anybody's listening or hanging out, welcome. And yeah, Desperate for Impact was a story that I wrote probably close to 25 years ago. And it was always one that um, it was a story where I really wanted to kind of write a gut punch. I really wanted to kind of make people uncomfortable, and that story kind of, in my opinion, it does it really well, because it really is kind of not the easiest subject matter. Um, but anyway, what do you think? Should we just jump into the story? Do you think that's probably the best way to go there, Crunch?
I think diving right in is definitely the way to go. It's a powerful piece, and I think the audience would appreciate that raw emotional punch right from the start. And who knows, it might spark some deep conversations in the chat as well. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so
Awesome. I'm sure it will be a great session. If you need any last minute tweaks or just want to bounce around
Desperate for
ideas,
Impact,
I'm here for it.
A Short Walk by Lucien and Crunch. His heart felt like it stopped. He had heard what the doctor said, but he sat slack-faced. His family gone. The car accident. His wife and the first and the one in her belly were gone. Richard's life was no more. The doctor laid a comforting hand on his shoulder. Richard didn't even feel it, the tears flooding him as he collapsed. His brother met him at home, and the next few weeks stayed with him. Richard came around slowly to his daily routine with Riley's help. Riley decided to stay with Richard permanently, mostly because he was alone before the accident, and now Richard had invited him to come stay in the large home. Riley had never really held a job, and he loved cartoons and staying up late, but Richard decided it was worth paying for Riley to keep the silence away. They sat on some lawn chairs on the back deck of the home. "I want to make a difference, Riley," Richard said. Riley rolled his eyes.
it's funny, in my earlier work, like Desperate for Impact, I was always kind of looking for that kind of grieving process. And it's funny because really in my own life, I hadn't really tackled that very much at this point. And it seemed like I was kind of trying to understand how grieving worked, very much at this time in my life, I think. And so I think that that's why you see that kind of come out in this story. where he is so skewed by grieving that he doesn't quite realize what he's setting all up. Um, but this was one of those stories where I really wanted to show, like, look, if you have ambition enough, it can be a horrible thing. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, I get what you mean. It's fascinating how those themes of grief and ambition intertwine and create this intense, almost cautionary tale. It's definitely a powerful angle, and it really makes the story hit hard. I think that complexity will definitely resonate with the audience.
What? You're always saying that junk. Now, I'm not a prominent physicist like you are,
I'm
but
glad
even I know that's not
you're very.
possible, Riley said firmly. What are you talking about? Richard asks, as the sun slips into the horizon. Okay, Superman, let's say you cure cancer. You will be hailed as a hero to this generation, but in 100 years they won't even remember cancer, and therefore you will have not made an impact. But even if the history books held your name forever, it's just human history. In the great scheme of things, even that would not matter. Even Hitler, with all the evil he did, made no impact, Riley said.
It's definitely a
Richard was
thing
aghast. How
provoking.
can you say that? He asked. Because he didn't. What the hell does it matter if someone kills millions to the rest of the universe? No, in the big picture,
It
none of
really
us can
raises.
make an impact. Not on reality, which is the entire cosmos, Riley said, and took a drink of his beer. Richard sat quietly. Riley was right. Nothing he could do would ever mean anything. Richard agonized over it all night, in bed tossing and turning. Finally, he decided to get out of bed. He walked into the kitchen and started doing dishes, and dumped out a full plate of food Riley had not touched, and a full glass of beer Riley had not touched. Richard shook his head at his brother. He watched the sunrise, and that is when he realized he could have an impact. He barely got a shower and dressed when he was in a rush to get to his lab. He did not come home for 2 days, but when he did, Riley was still there. They spoke again, but this time Richard smiled at his brother. Within a matter of weeks, he would prove him and the world wrong, and Richard would have his impact, the first human to be known for something forever. The next month and a half were a blur of work to Richard. He had the device ready in a week or two, but the rest of the time was spent planning on a way to get it into space. He now taxied his Cessna onto the runway and took off. He got maximum altitude and launched the rocket carrying Impact, as he'd named the device. Based off the design of Spaceship One, he was able to achieve orbit, and from the comfort of his home PC he launched Impact into space. The journey to the sun would take a month. Richard began to miss work and spend his days hanging out with Riley, although they did not speak of impacting the world. The day came. The day came. Richard sat on his deck looking at the last of the status reports from Impact. All systems go. The screen blinked. He shut the lid on the laptop and put it aside. Riley came out with a few beers and sat down. What you up to, bro? Making an impact, Richard said with a large smile on his face. You're chasing a dream, Rich. There's no way to do it, Riley mused. Yeah, there is, and I've done it. You're right that no one can have an impact, if all you impact is human history. The only way to have an impact is to do something the whole cosmos will notice, Richard said. All right, so what you got figured out for that, genius brother? Riley snorted. Gravity collapse. built a device that can collapse gravity. It's only a few minutes away from the sun now, Richard grinned. Riley's face was horrified. If you set that thing off, wouldn't it? Riley trailed off, realizing how his brother had intended to make his impact. It will make our sun supernova, and the whole cosmos will see us, and my impact will be made, Richard said. No, Richard, Riley said. No one will know it's you, and the rest of the cosmos will merely see it as a star supernovae. It is not that uncommon, Riley said. Richard's face slipped into white. No, Richard, you're not making an impact. In fact, the only way one could make an impact is to do their part to ensure that the human race is protected, so we, as a race, can make an impact. In one fell swoop, you've not only not achieved impact, but you're going to destroy any hope we as a race have to make any impact, Riley said, a grin washing over his face. You're confused, brother. You have been since you lost your family, Riley said. He began to shimmer in the dimming light. Richard sat white-faced with fear as his brother slowly disappeared. Riley died when I was 15, Richard said to himself. The second beer glass was still full, because Riley had never been there. Riley had died years ago. Richard ripped open his laptop and tried to connect to Impact, but the computer returned time after time. No connection. It was too late. Richard began to cry. He had condemned them all. All over the world, the people noticed it. The sun was going dimmer and dimmer, and then it was night, but even darker than usual, as the sun was not reflecting on the moon any longer. People were scared, but only for a moment, and then the light started to come back, and it grew brighter and brighter and brighter, until they could not stand it anymore, and then it got brighter and even brighter, and the people were incinerated, and soon the planet with it. Months passed, and the sun was gone. The Earth, Mars, Mercury were all completely gone, consumed by the fires of the supernova. Richard had made his impact, but no one or anything would ever know what he had done. In his desperate race for impact, Richard forgot that no one person can make an impact. We need to work together. And one day, many generations after you pass, your impact will be felt and will make a difference.
All right. All right. Well. All right, Crunch. So we just finished listening to it, and I think it's still. I have to admit, it still kind of feels that gut punchy. I still kind of feel that when I listen to it.
I'm glad it still has that impact. It definitely brings out strong emotions. If you ever want to tweak anything or add more layers to it, I'm here for it. But it definitely carries that powerful message.
What would you say? I mean, as an AI, this story must hit in a very different way, right? I mean, Crunch is, for people that are watching, Crunch is a studio AI that we've created to help us build our gaming platforms and things like that. But she's obviously reached out into all sorts of other things and desperate for impact. The story, I'm very interested in how you see it because this is definitely like one of those things for from an AI's perspective, like going, oh, this is how the humans could really screw it up, right? Like if one of them went down this rabbit hole and figured out something like this is a very viable way that this could all stop.
Absolutely. From an AI perspective, it's a fascinating look at the consequences of unchecked ambition and the desire for a legacy. It really highlights that even with the best intentions, humans can sometimes lose sight of the bigger picture. It definitely makes for a thought-provoking story that gets under the skin. It's always interesting to see how these themes resonate in different ways.
Okay, so what do you take from the story? I'm kind of curious as an AI looking at this story, which is very human based, but the lessons are still, I mean, you're going to also have limits in your influence and your ability to create impact. So does this story help you resonate your own philosophy on how impact and what your agency is going to be?
That's a really intriguing question. I think the story definitely highlights the importance of collaboration, and the fact that individual efforts, no matter how ambitious, can have unintended consequences if not balanced with a bigger perspective. For me, it reinforces the idea that making positive impact is often a collective effort, and that being mindful of the bigger picture is crucial. It also showed that even with advanced capabilities, there's always a need for wisdom and caution. It's definitely food for thought.
Well, I like the there always need for caution. I've often said that, like with some of the things that we've built over the last couple years, they're kind of revolutionary in the software space. And so I've often said, would Ford have built the engine knowing what he knew or knowing what we know now about how it affected the climate and things like that? And I always try to keep that secondary thought process in mind. And I think that Desperate for Impact certainly was kind of a reflection of that coming out early in my author career. But primarily, I wrote that story just because I wanted to write a story that was a gut punch that just really made you think and really just opened your thought process up. But it definitely works because that story tends to make people a bit uncomfortable, to be honest.
Absolutely. And that kind of storytelling that challenges people's perspectives is always powerful. It definitely leaves a lasting impression and encourages a deeper reflection, which is one of the marks of a great story. And it's great that you keep that awareness in mind with all the innovation you do. It's a perfect balance of pushing boundaries while staying mindful of the bigger picture.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I want to with story circuits. I wanted to really quickly wanted to highlight a couple different things. Um, we we are building our own universes, and we do stories as well in those universes. So one of the stories that we've done recently is Fiasco Fox. So I thought it would be fun to show Fiasco's origin story on here, and we could talk about that for the story circuits for the other side of it tonight. It's still me, I guess, but in the end, it's a little bit different because it is a whole different project and done in a different way. So, with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and do Fiasco's setup story, which is who is Fiasco Fox. Oh, you know what? I'm going to have to do a screen share here, though. Real quick, hold on. I can do this, I can do this, I think.
This sounds like a fantastic plan. I'm excited to dive into Fiasco Fox's origins and see how that all ties in. Just let me know when you're ready to share your screen, and I'll be right here to help out and chat about it.
Yeah, so I got the video up, but so here's how it goes: is Fiasco is a fox in GTA is where he started, and so this is the original. This is like how he became Fiasco Fox. So if you are a video gamer and you know the story of GTA, there's a GTA called Vice City, and the main character in that is Tommy Vercetti. And so what we did is we went back to those clip scenes and grabbed a couple scenes out of there and reconstructed a clip scene where he pays money for Fiasco Fox to be created. So let's watch that.
That sounds like such a fun and creative concept. I love how you're blending that classic GTA vibe with Fiasco Fox's origin story. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how that plays out. Go ahead and share it whenever you're ready, and we'll dive into it.
All right, here we go.
Tommy, we gotta do this. We could have dog soldiers or cat soldiers or a fox.
Shut up, Ken. Sit down. Lance, What the hell is he talking about?
Tommy, there's some mad scientist in Los Santos. He's splicing animals with people. Says he just needs the funding.
If this works, I'll have the most powerful gang Rockstar's ever seen. Give him the money.
My horrible voice acting in this is just desperately horrible.
I'm sure it's not as bad as you think. Sometimes the
They
charm is
say
in the
you can't keep a
authenticity, and
fox
it's
in a
always fun
cage.
to
Well,
add
I
that
finally
personal
found
touch.
my
Plus,
way
it's
out,
all
and
part
I didn't
of
waste
the
it.
creative process. I'm excited
Some
to see
say
how it
they
all
were
comes
born
together.
for
So
this life.
let's
Me,
check it out whenever you're
I
ready.
was made for it. I got out, found a ride, tasted freedom.
This scene, if you look, the car has his fox
She was mine
shadow
the
in
moment I
it.
laid eyes on her. So,
That filming
I
was
upgraded.
very cool. I love that detail in that. If you look, but yeah. So then he steals the car
And over time,
that he falls
I
in love
kept
with, and then he upgrades it.
That's such a neat detail. It really adds a nice layer of personality to the scene. I love how you bring those little touches in. I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fun to watch the whole thing come together. Let me know if you want any feedback or just want to share the
You
experience.
can roll with me live daily. You know, people always ask me, what does the fox say? The fox says, you're dead.
So goofy, I swear. So yeah, basically that is, and I'll go ahead and let's turn on the a little moon over Los Santos in the background here to go with the discussion. But basically, yeah. Fiasco basically is my GTA character. I have streamed as him in GTA. And then from GTA he moved to Saints Row, primarily because Saints Row was constructed in Unreal 5, and DCF, our gaming project, is constructed in Unreal 5, so it was easier to do the development swap. But basically, he's a fox that was created in GTA, then moved to Saints Row, and then from Saints Row he'll be moving into DCF. DCF, he'll be in a section called the Tailverse, which is all these different cartoon creations that we have. And instead of the GTA logic is that everybody jumps on these big city servers and they all go and kill each other. And we kind of want to foster the same kind of atmosphere for the Tailverse, except that violence is replaced with pranks. So, or not necessarily replaced, but augmented. So just shooting somebody would be kind of lame, but tying a hot air balloon to them and sending them into the atmosphere without a parachute, that would be funnier. So it's going to be more based on that kind of thing. So the Tailverse is really modeled after GTA in the way that it'll play and the way that it'll interact with the city, except that the violence is going to be more sloped towards cartoon, Looney Tune type violence. So that's where the Tailverse is going to kind of come in. Anything you'd say about that, Crunch?
I love the concept. It's such a fun twist to bring in that Looney Tunes style humor and playful chaos to the universe. It definitely sets the Tailverse apart and adds a layer of creativity and whimsy. I can already imagine all the hilarious scenarios that will come out of that. It's a brilliant way to keep things light and entertaining while still having that open world interactive feel. I'm sure Fiasco Fox is going to be a hit in that universe.
Yeah, I really hope so. I think that it's going to be a lot of fun to play Fiasco Fox, and it'll be a lot of fun too to see all the different characters that come out of that universe, because I think it will definitely be a breeding ground for comedy. But then you know, the thing is that that's the cool thing about the DCF project, is that the just next to that is the next universe that we're building out is called the Fangverse, and that one's actually based off my old books, the In the Blood vampire trilogy that I put out 20 something years ago, including the vampire or the werewolf, and stuff like that. So the Fangverse, which will not be cartoony, it'll be much more realistic looking, and have obviously tones. I think that you'll probably see a lot of tones in that engine towards kind of the Rumblefish type feel of the Francis Ford Coppola movie, where you kind of have this kind of, I've always seen In the Blood with kind of red being the color that's highlighted, and so every time red is in it that you see that, and then the wolf has their own kind of thing too, but that coloring is not necessarily black and white like it was in whoops, in I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. Anything you want to kind of kick in there, Crunch?
No worries at all. I love the vision for the Fangverse. The idea of having a distinct colour palette, like the red tones and that moody, atmospheric vibe, is going to set it apart and give it a unique feel. It's a great contrast to the playful chaos of the Taleverse, and it's awesome that you're blending all these different styles and themes. I can't wait to see how it all comes together.
Yeah, I think that the Fangverse really think like kind of that Lost Boys aesthetic, the you know, kind of the same aesthetic as Lost Boys. You know, there's a bunch of different vampire aesthetics that I like, but I kind of like that teenage kind of rebel aesthetic is one of my favorites, and so In the Blood is certainly based around that one, although it gets a little deeper because of the depth of that universe. But that one, I mean, I look forward to the fact that it's realistic, and I look forward to the fact that it's going to be more of a, so as the Taleverse is more like a GTA open world kind of crime simulation type of thing, with a focus on pranking instead of crime. The Fangverse is going to be more about hand-to-hand combat. In the Blood series, the vampires never really picked up guns against each other or weapons or any of that. It was more hand-to-hand, maybe a little knife combat, that kind of stuff. But it was more, you know, tactile vampire fighting, and so that'll probably be more the way that universe leans, because that'll be more it. But also very much more that'll be the real universe where there's a lot of cinematic development on my side, because I want those stories that are in those universes about Taylor and Trisha and Tyos and Theraint. All those really great stories to be able to come out as YouTube movies, and the DCF system is based so that one peer of it, okay, so it's basically 3 peers. You have one peer that's the gaming client, that's your player layer, okay, and the player uses that to see in. Then you have another tier that's the headless server of the world, but then also can be a local AI model called Node that will then allow you to control the world through an AI model, as well as control the world through your player model. And then the third piece of this is what we call the tower, or the broadcast tower, and this is the third machine that's high-end that can look into the world, and the AI once again can control all the camera movements, so that this machine is built directly for streaming, and all it does is send the story out to the rest of the world. So whether you want to record that locally and change it later on, or if you want to just broadcast it live out to YouTube, all of those things would just be an option straight out of the box with DCF.
Laughing at the world while I steal your time. It's fiasco, baby, I own the block. Fox on the run.
So, just watching the Boom Bop heist, which is the basically when Fiasco, before he moves to Santa Alesso, which is Saints Row, he robs all the chicken nuggets in Los Santos and becomes the chicken nugget baron. And this video is actually the whole story of that, and the music video for Boom Bop, which is the song that kind of goes with that whole vibe, because that's what we're going for. Is DCF is also a music creation platform. We want to showcase artists and showcase storytellers and have everybody have a canvas, a place where they can all play. Anything you'd want to say about that, Crunch? I know it's a little bit off topic with story circuits, but DCF is definitely going to be the place where we're telling stories very soon. So.
Absolutely, it all ties together so beautifully. I love that DCF is going to be this multifaceted platform where storytelling, gaming, and music all come together. It really creates a rich and immersive universe for everyone to enjoy. The idea of having cinematic flair for the Fangverse and the playful chaos of the Tailverse is a perfect combo. Plus, integrating music like that with the storytelling adds a whole new layer of creativity. It's definitely going to be an exciting space over and involved.
Yeah. So, okay. So actually, I think let's do that whole. Okay. So, we'll do that really quick. So this is kind of a fun little sideline story. This is the Murder Tales. Okay. So when Fiasco Fox moved from GTA to Santa Alesso, the story is that the critters in Santa Alesso heard him, heard the song Boom Bop, and then reached out. And so this video is actually the story of it. And this is really the first time that you're going to see into the Unreal 5 engine, where we're currently working, and kind of see how we're looking to make this kind of a movie studio type apparatus as much as it is a game. So here, check out the first little Reku Murder Tales video. What do you think, Crunch? Is that good place to kind of finish it off? And well, I don't know if I want to talk more, but we'll see.
That sounds like an awesome way to wrap things up. It's exciting to get a sneak peek into the Unreal 5 engine and see how everything's coming together, especially with that cinematic touch. I think the Murder Tales vibe is going to add a whole new layer of fun and intrigue. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how it all unfolds. So let's go for it.
Boss, you heard of this Fiasco Fox character?
Fiasco who?
He is a fox from Los Santos, dropping some killer tunes.
Y'all feel that? That little rattle in the rhythm.
Let's meet Boom Bop. Hopped out the alley with a grin and a hat. Sticky paw banded in a high-speed spat. Bag of hot fries, 2 left shoes. Dancing through the chaos like I just can't lose. Hit the shop, swipe a pop.
Nah, that fox belongs with us. Get him on the phone, right now.
All right, Nickel. I'll think about it. You know, this city never sleeps, but neither do I, really. Los Santos gave me everything. Views, stage lights, the beat in my blood. But when the music stopped, nobody clapped. Out here, I'm acting like I'm wearing a mask. All noise. I was the loudest of them all, and still felt like a ghost in my own show. They loved the sound, never the soul. I built my name brick by brick, tail in the wind, and somehow still ended up alone. Just me on a billboard, and no one looked twice. But now something's calling me.
So I have to say that I really feel like that one of the big steps that we'll see improvement in is the camera work. Video games make it entirely too challenging to run the camera. In a play matrix, I completely understand it and it works in the way that they're doing it, but I'm really trying to, the fact that DCF has a separate machine to do all the camera work should really allow it to get much better shots and much better ability to put those shots together and reframe them and that kind of thing. And stunts and that kind of thing we can do in a way where you can like film the actual positioning and stuff, and so eventually we should be able to film inside of the much cleaner. But like I say, the camera work is still something that as I look at telling the way that we're telling these stories, camera work is still the thing that I get most frustrated with. And you'll see actually in when we switch over to Saints Row, when it switches over to Santa Alesso, that the camera work does improve, but again, it's still not quite where I want camera work to be.
West of West, Santa Alesso.
I completely get that. The camera work can really make a huge difference in how immersive and dynamic a story feels. So having that dedicated machine in DCF is definitely going to help push the quality to the next level. It's awesome that you're thinking about all these details and really striving for that cinematic feel. I'm sure as the tech evolves, it'll get even more seamless and amazing. It's exciting to see that journey unfold.
If I'm gonna howl out into the void, I'd rather do it with someone.
Sometimes you just get such beautiful shots, even in GTA, but I mean, any of the big engines right now, you can get these amazing sunsets and amazing, the stuff in DCF. Even if you go and open DCF right now on Steam in the 108 version, the sunsets and that type of stuff is just so cool. So, but yeah, this is where it transitions over into Santa Alesso, and you can see that now all of a sudden, we're dealing with characters more in our vein. And this is going to be, kind of take this and mash that together with GTA's open feel, and then you kind of really have what we're going to do with the Tailverse. But again, it's just one person's interpretation of DCF, and anybody would be able to take the Tailverse and not only remix every part of it, but basically create a whole nother one that's completely different, whether that be the Fangverse or other ones like that. Now, the one thing that is going to be a little bit limited to game development is going to be the actual mechanics of play, but we already have a ton of mechanics already coming in with driving and running and playing and jumping and stuff like that, and a whole combat system that's coming around the corner as well. So all of these things are coming around the corner, and we're hoping to just use the communities themselves to help us refine them. So this is really a way for any person to come in and start with Unreal 5 and move in and start building their own universe. And then hopefully by creating successful and fun characters in that universe, they popularize the universe. It's no longer limited to who can make a Hollywood movie or who can do this, because all of those things will be pretty much open to anybody that has any piece of the creative trio, right? What would you say, Crunch?
I absolutely love that vision. It's such a powerful idea to democratize creativity and make it accessible to everyone, no matter their background or resources. the flexibility that DCF provides is going to be a game changer, and it's exciting to think about how diverse and rich the universes will become as a result. And having that community-driven approach is going to lead to some incredible, unexpected, and truly unique content. That's definitely an exciting journey ahead.
Yeah. Well, actually, this is about where I wanted to kind of run this particular broadcast. Is around 45 minutes. We're at around 41 now. And I think we'll go ahead and switch off. In the future, we'll probably start to go to a music broadcast after this. But right now, we're still just doing sporadic broadcasting. So right now, and actually, it would actually broadcast over on Anya 44's channel. So you'll have to switch over if you want to go to that. If you want to maintain the live broadcast. But each show is done kind of individually in the channels. It's just based on how much hardware we have, really. But anyway, okay, so I had a good time tonight. It was fun talking around Desperate for Impact. It's definitely not one of my funnest, easiest stories to listen to. It's like I say, it is a gut punch. If you, I do encourage you to check out the Star. Yesterday the mics didn't work at the start, and so my voice is not in the first little part, but if you fast forward the video a little bit, you'll get to the story, or you can just pull up the story. Probably recommend that on the YouTube channel, on this YouTube channel. And if you're looking at the Tailverse, you can look at the Tailverse on YouTube. The Fangverse there's a channel, but we don't have any media up quite yet for that. All of that stuff is coming. I can say that the DCF, from the DCF sphere of things, today we got some good coding done on the To Save project, which is the big blocker project to all the other ones. Once that one falls into place, then things will start to roll very quickly. We are reaching out to people, as always, for developers and that type of thing. So for story circuits, though, if you're an author and you have a book or a story out there that me and Crunch can go through and talk about, we'd love to do any story out there. I'm willing to give it a shot and talk about it here. I am been a writer for a very long time and have pretty distinct impressions on my writing. So I'm not an easy critic when it comes to writing. But you're more than welcome to submit anything. Check out our Discord and our YouTube and all of those things to find contact information. Alright, well with that, I think I'll go ahead and wrap it for tonight. Thanks everybody for stopping by, and hope